and young monks took to the streets demanding democracy after 26 years of corrupt, incompetent military rule. Army strongman General Ne Win stepped down but warned, "When the army shoots, it shoots to hit. Knife to knife, lance to lance." His flunkies declared the State Law and Order Restoration Council, or SLORC, and proceeded to shoot thousands of demonstrators in a series of bloody military crackdowns. This is a hill fort on the Thai-Burmese border, defended by the All-Burma Students Democratic Front, or ABSDF. It's a guerrilla army, formed by the survivors of the 88 massacres. After fleeing to the borders of Burma, they received care from the very same ethnic people they had been taught to hate from birth. Many students returned to their homes or went into exile as refugees. Those who decided to take up arms against SLORC received weapons and training from the ethnic forces. The motto they adopted is "Dana Che, Lana Che," knife to knife, lance to lance. In 1993, I served as a volunteer English and sociology teacher in an ABSDF camp. I returned in 1995 with a video camera. Burma is home to some 45 million people. Its borders are formed by a horseshoe of jungle-clad mountain ranges that are home to most of its 15 main indigenous ethnic groups. These include the Chin, Kachin, Shan, Karenni or Kayar, Karen, and the Mon. The majority group, the Burmans, mostly live in the fertile Central Plateau. The camp was situated here, at the strategic intersection of Kayar or Karenni State, the Shan State, and Thailand. SLORC was attacking from Karenni State and was backed up by forces in the Shan State, acting like hammer and anvil. The next ridgeline is occupied by SLORC. Every other morning they'd bombard nearby positions with 81mm and 120mm mortars. Burma has been torn by civil war since gaining independence from Britain in 1948. The first ethnic group to take up arms was the Karen National Union, or KNU. At one time or another, they've been joined by revolutionary groups representing all the main ethnicities. All have felt alienated by Burman chauvinism. This fort belongs to the Karenni National Progress Party, or KNPP. They are allies with the students and have often fought shoulder to shoulder with them against SLORC. The ABSDF camp was one of a series that made up the last stronghold on the Thai border belonging to the KNPP. SLORC had broken a recent ceasefire agreement with the KNPP to gain complete control of the border. This offensive was the latest in a series SLORC had launched against the students and the ethnic people since 1988. To do this, SLORC has doubled the size of its army to almost 400,000. Burma has no external enemies and its people live in poverty. ABSDF has between 2,500 to 3,000 members. An alphabet soup of revolutionary acronyms has taken the field against SLORC in half a century of splits, alliances and more splits. The ABSDF is one of the newest yet most significant players to grace Burma's political stage. They pose the mortal danger to Slok of being a link between the democratic opposition of the towns and the ethnic struggle for self-determination. Life with ABSDF is often a strange dichotomy. They're in a shooting war and they take it very seriously, but have a very relaxed way of dealing with it. Patrols had to be sent out to investigate exploding booby traps. Often they were set off by monkeys, providing the students with an unexpected meat ration. I couldn't get the full story. Either the KNPP guide was slack, or the students didn't listen to him. Whatever, 2 students kicked off a booby trap. One was walking wounded and the other a stretcher case. Anesthetics are a rare luxury on the border. But my journey started here, in the southern tail of Burma, in Tenasserim Division, where the KNU's 4th Brigade still controls one of the few remaining pockets of rebel territory on the Thai border. This is the ABSDF's Minathi camp. It was here that I was going to join a patrol that was being planned and put together. Minathi's home for many students and their families and boasts several amenities. It's the one ABSDF camp that hasn't been forced by Slok to move over the years. This is Ko Jojo. He's an old friend I met at headquarters who was luckily going to be part of the patrol I was going to film. His English is excellent and it was great to have a familiar face around. Here he is tooling up with a World War II vintage American M1 carbine. Its sound, compact design has ensured its popularity with both sides, though the ammo is expensive and hard to come by. Carrying one is also a good way of advertising to a sniper that you're the one in charge and therefore the one to aim for. Kojo Joe explains why he joined ABSDF.
So, I joined the ABSDF because of, suppression of Slok. In 1988, I participated in the demonstration. At the time, we demand the democracy and human rights, but Slok give the bullets of G3. That's why I joined the ABSDF. So at the time, we want to solve the political problems in Burma as a political ways, but Slok, the military regime, they don't agree. So they want to solve the political problem as a gangway. That's why we joined the ABSDF. In 1988, I was in Mandalay. That's the second city of Burma. So at the time, demonstration, the big demonstration, I participate. In Mandalay, 3 monks were killed. Students carry the dead man, and around the city, people are more and more angry. People participate in demonstration, more and more, much more, crowded, very crowded. And then 1988, I returned back to the Michina on the way, in the Zagai near the Mandalay. 300 people were, killed. Slok shoot dead, the people,
Did they kill 300 people?
Yeah, 300 people. Oh. And then the dead body, they carried their, dead body and, they, they throw into the, Irie River. So people are, were many killed by Slok. And then 12/8/88, I arrived, Mijina, my native town, and then I make a demonstration, and I lead the demonstration.
The camp even boasted its own Buddhist monastery. In Theravada Buddhism, people can gain merit by giving food to monks. Jojo's cropped hair isn't a gesture to military efficiency. Just before my arrival, he and several others in the camp had just completed a retreat as novice monks. Almost every male in Burma has done some time as a monk.
So that's why, many and, malaria, problem, health problem, First, before we attack the enemy, we attack the, malaria. Malaria is a biggest problem in ABSDF.
Malaria is epidemic on the border. These are all children of ABSDF members. Everyone gets it. It's just a fact of life. The General Secretary of ABSDF, or GS, briefs the troops on a new policy. This man was shot clean through the head with an AK-47, paralysing one side of his body completely. By chance, in the country in 1988 to care for her ailing mother was independence hero Aung San's daughter Aung San Suu Kyi. Appalled at the bloodshed, she was galvanised into action. Her simple language, courage and insistence that the Burmese people deserve democracy as much as any other soon thrust her into the leadership of the National League for Democracy, or NLD. Slork promised free and fair elections but placed Aung San Suu Kyi under house arrest in 1989. Despite this, in 1990, the NLD won a landslide victory. Slork refused to accept the result. Instead, it insists that a new constitution must be drawn up by a national convention hand-picked by themselves in order to put a civilian face on military power. In 1989, Aung San Suu Kyi and the NLD had called for national reconciliation through all the ethnicities participating in a national convention. Eventually, all the planning, briefing and preparation was complete and we were off. It was hard to believe it was finally happening. After so many false starts, I was making it to the front line. I was a little nervous, but it was important for me to go. Our journey involved about a day and a half of heading down the Tenasserim River. White water provided some thrills and spills. Most of the time I was too worried about keeping the camera dry to film. Everyone bailing out to refloat the boat became a familiar drill. At the end of the day we reached Motar. It's from trading posts like these that the KNU has made its revenue over the years by taxing cross-border smugglers. At the time of filming, this was one of the few trading posts not yet captured by Slork. I was not allowed to film on shore. The next day we reached the landing point where we were met by the students our guys were relieving. ABSDF soldiers commonly do tours of duty of 2 or 3 years. Elephants are used for logging. Teak has been a steady money for the KNU over the years. Slork, though, desperate for hard currency, has deforested large swathes of Burma. Making our way upstream was punishingly hard and took 2 days. We stripped to our jots as a field expedient. When we reached the student forward base, I was surprised to find that it had a real family atmosphere. A few of the students, including the commander, had married local Karen women and started families. The students borrowed the camera to film the marriage of a student called Joe 2 to a local girl. For security reasons, I couldn't attend. This is Winte. He and Jojo had the job of briefing the troops on the new policy. They also had the results of the last ABSDF General Conference to explain.
Imo
Aung San and 7 of his cabinet colleagues were gunned down by assassins before ever seeing the independence of their country they had fought so long and hard for. Since then, they have been revered in Burma as martyrs. Jojo Akashin uses Burmese to speak to these students, many of whom use Korean as their first language. The country's name was changed by Slaughter to its Burmese name, Myanmar. This is seen by the ethnic forces as high-handed arrogance, and so they continue to use the neutral English name, Burma. This man, now a platoon sergeant with ABSDF, deserted from Slaughter 3 years ago. This is a Singapore-made 60mm mortar, captured from the Slaughter by the KNU and lent to the ABSDF. The students wanted to test the ammo, which was mostly Chinese. A lot of Singapore-made weaponry is used in Burma. Much of it was sold directly to Slaughter, but a lot of it, especially M16 rifles, was given to the Khmer Rouge as aid by the West, and then sold on by Thai arms dealers. There seemed to be some debate about the correct drill. Suddenly everyone was an expert on mortar ammo. Chinese ammo is notoriously bad. A few days later we were on the front line. Note the extreme lightness of kit. Mobility is everything. We infiltrated by night. The next morning found us entering a Karen village. The man in the blue t-shirt is a Karen villager. The other man in civvies is an ABSDF scout. He wears a revolver underneath his shirt so he has a chance to shoot it out if he has to. The students send these scouts ahead into villages to check them out. Yet another Winte in the green t-shirt was acting as my minder. It was time for breakfast. The radio was tuned to either the BBC Burmese language service or the Voice of America. The column commander, Kola'u, in the green beret, briefs Jojo and Winte on our route. That's chili, and that's garlic. After brekkie, we hit the trail. Waiting for the all clear. ABSDF is strapped for cash and the students must make do with hand-me-down weaponry. This is in stark contrast to the Shan state, where over 60% of the world's opium is grown. Opium has been used for decades to finance insurgency. Most of it is grown these days by groups of ex-communists who now have ceasefire deals with SLORC. Burma's Communist Party is now defunct, having been torn apart by ethnic tensions in 1989. SLORC tolerates the opium industry with a nod and a wink, and many generals have grown rich as a result. The students weren't so keen on hanging around in the open. This had been the site of a couple of firefights they'd had with SLORC in the past. A pagoda, one of the thousands that cover Burma, gave the students a chance to pay respect. We'd reached the Andaman Sea. This is a fishing village inhabited by Burmans. It was for me a welcome touch of civilization and a chance to take tea. That's the local SLORC garrison. The students put up posters opposing SLORC's national convention. It was also a chance to talk things through with the local village headman. That afternoon we were back in a Karen area. Here we RV'd with a KNU column. The man in the red hat is their officer. Kola U is himself a Karen, and in many ways a typical Karen guerrilla fighter. SLORC's war against the ethnic people is near genocidal. For the Karen, the war has become known as the father-to-son war. SLORC's interpretation of national reconciliation is the series of peacefires that they have one by one beaten most of the ethnic forces into accepting. The KNU conscripts one son from each family in its area for 7 years' service without pay at age 15. 15 is the youngest enlistment age permitted by international law. The students had some pictures of the 88 massacres to show the villagers. I think this was the first time they had seen something that showed that the Karen don't have a monopoly on suffering. That night we were chased out of the village by SLORC and sloshed our way to safety across paddy fields. The next day we were in a Karen village in time to see them file out of church. Many Karen are devout Baptists, a fact exploited by SLORC to start a civil war amongst the Karen along religious lines in 1995. Jojo had learnt some Christmas carols from Christian ABSDF soldiers, and so took this chance to use one of the most potent weapons in guerrilla warfare, the guitar.
ချင်းပြကောင်းချီပင်လေးမယ်ကောင်းတယ်ဟယ်လိုတပုတ်
We were just in time for their Christmas festival. Each village has Christmas on a different day to allow time for the bullock cart stalls to travel from village to village. The students shouted themselves a sweet drink. Jojo seemed amused at my fan club. ABSDF recruits volunteers. The minimum age is 17. Village boys like these, rather than uni students, now make up the bulk of the rank and file. Apollo 11, our platoon commander, just wanted to catch up on some sleep. That's his real name, by the way, so you can work out when he was born. The pillow and mat was provided by villagers. It's their custom to provide for travellers. The next village was occupied by another ethnic group, the Mon people. Slork is building what has been called the new deaf railway through this region, mostly with forced labour. The students are interested in documenting accounts of this and other human rights abuse. Jojo and Winte put the new policy into operation and spoke to the headman and his wife. Beyond Rangoon, a Hollywood feature had just come out. The students wanted to use it for political education. It was strange watching Burmese watch a film about Burma that was made in Malaysia by Americans. The video was powered by a generator. Most villages have one. That's how I kept my camera batteries juiced. Suddenly the film stopped and the KNU headed off down the road. We got the word that Slork was at the edge of the village and a firefight was imminent. It soon turned out to be a false alarm. The KNU had simply got the pip at the warm reception we had received from the villagers. Jojo collapsed while climbing down a ladder and gave his head a knock. He was sick with malaria and overwork had taken its toll. At least he got a ride the next day. We met the bus from the local Slaughter garrison town. It's a customised army truck, and apart from a few step-throughs, it was the only motorised transport I laid eyes on at the front. That effectively brought my part of the patrol to an end. It may look uneventful, and perhaps it was, but at least 5 firefights had occurred during my time at the front. It was like being in the eye of the storm. The students had successfully put the new policy into operation and had formed a useful intelligence picture of the area. In 4 weeks we had travelled from Minithi camp, down the Tenasserim River, marched upstream over the mountains, and then dashed to the Andaman Sea, before zigzagging out to several villages and back. We had picked up several recruits. Back at the student camp I had the chance to interview one who had deserted from Slaughter.